Someone's going to pick it up. Why not me? Why not Josh for a change? let's my fortunes have turned. It's my day finally.
I feel that could be the name of a sitcom. Why not Josh for a change? Whoever did 2.5 Men, why not Josh for a change?
For a change, yeah.
For a change. I even hear the theme song behind it. Hello and welcome. My name is Garth Sharif.
I'm Josh Sager.
And you're listening to The Fraud Complex, a podcast where we unpack wild true crime stories without murders. On today's episode, Josh and I are going to do a confessional. We're going to, our listeners and the public, stories of where we have been victims of fraud, which is a vulnerable thing to do, but that's important in this podcast. It's actually the show that it can happen to anybody. We talked a lot about the fraud risk triangle, and maybe there'll be a theme of how both Josh and I have fallen victim to some fraud. And so it's a personal journey through fraud in the fraud complex. Josh, how do you feel about this?
I feel good because I want to share what I've learned to benefit others. In my situation, I came close to falling victim, didn't quite fall victim, but it would have been so easy. I was very, very close to getting caught up in something fishy.
So are we going to help the person bring you across the finish line here? This is what they should have done to complete the fraud.
Well, I'll tell you. So I was in Paris. This was an international fraud. I was with my wife at the time, and we were by the Eiffel Tower, very touristy, lots of tourists. And so I was somewhat on guard. You know, I'd read some warnings about, just pickpockets and things like that. But as I was walking toward the tower, I noticed a golden ring on the ground. And this helpful gentleman came up to me and he said, "Oh, you dropped your ring." And man, I was really tempted to pick it up because I was like, golden ring, right? Like, well, maybe I'll make money on this trip. This sounds incredible. But I had a little spidey sense of like, I better be on guard here. I kept my hand on my wallet. I thought maybe it was like a pickpocket sort of thing. And I was just like, no, thank you. And I just continued forward. But what I saw later as I was coming back was these guys would target you if you picked up the ring. The helpful person would help you, point out the ring, you pick it up. And then a gang of dudes would confront you a minute later, 30 seconds later up ahead. And they'd be like, "What are you doing with my ring? You took my ring. You got to pay for that, man. You got to pay." And they would really intimidate you. And in some ways, it was sort of brilliant because I think a lot of these scams, they get you by making you complicit in a little bit of a ethical situation. Like, it wasn't your ring. You didn't really deserve to pick it up. So I could see just I'm a tourist.
Wow.
I got a bunch of pocket money. I'm just going to give you this money. So this was their scam.
This is really fascinating. I had not heard of this in Paris. I think we have had a Paris episode from the Louvre. Your Snouvre, your Louvre. But this is really interesting. So you came back around because you were one. Did you actually come back around to see if this was a golden ring scam?
It was just the path. There's a walkway up to the Eiffel Tower, and it's just on the way back. And so I feel like these guys just set up camp and they spend all day harassing people.
So you came back around just by nature of the walk in Paris, and you saw what was happening. You saw the ring, the same ring, or something like it.
I saw what would have happened to me had I picked it up.
What would have happened? What did you see? What happened to this person? Did they?
I just saw a bunch of dudes confronting
that's threatening.
A guy, and I don't know what the outcome
Sacre
was.
bleu.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's really interesting because you're right. It's really psychologically complicated because there's this ring. It looks valuable. Did it look valuable to you?
It looked like, proper, someone dropped their wedding ring or something like that.
And they pointed it out to you.
Yes.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
So let's just go with the fraud risk triangle here because that is part of this rationalization, opportunity, incentive. So there's an opportunity because someone has said, "Hey, you've dropped your ring, this gold ring. possibly looks like real gold. The hesitation here is with the rationalization. So what were you thinking? What's the rationalization to pick it up or not pick it up?
I was like, you know what? Someone's going to pick it up. Why not me? Why not Josh for a change? let's my fortunes have turned. It's my day. Finally.
I feel that could be the name of a sitcom. Why not Josh for a change? Whoever did 2.5 Men, why not Josh for a change?
For a change, yeah.
For a change. I even hear the theme song behind it. So, just that so funny. Because I could just see you looking at that, and the whole story in your head goes, finally something's broke my way.
Yeah.
This young French gentleman here in this country is pointing at this golden ring. It has some monetary value. It's finally I can pick it up. Someone's dropped it. No one's going to pick it up. They think it's mine anyway.
Yeah.
Finally a win for Josh.
Finally a win.
Finally a win. And what, again, was it that prevented you from picking it up?
I think because I'd read the warnings about like pickpockets. So I was on high alert and I just felt like, okay, I could pick this up. Maybe it would be okay. But I was like, I just didn't want to deal. I was already saying no to people trying to sell me stuff.
Oh.
Like it was.
Well, wait a minute now. This is so funny to me, Josh. I love this. Let's investigate this. So you were going to take the ring, but you were worried that in the act of taking the ring, you could have been pickpocketed. Is that how I
just thought there was more to this. There was more to this good fortune than met the eye.
So you did think there's something connected to the ring. It wasn't like mutually exclusive, that the act of picking up the ring would give you more risk of being pickpocketed, which is why you didn't pick the ring. But
there's something that put me on the defense a little bit. And I'm an anxious person, so any interaction with anybody,
your fear
causes me,
again.
Yeah, triggers a fear alert.
This is good if you have anxiety, which I also do. Maybe it's a helpful fraud buffer. This is a really interesting case because you have opportunity. The rationalization is that, someone dropped their ring. Because in some ways you could pick it up because maybe you want to provide it to the lost and found in Paris, wherever you submit golden rings that you find on the street. And then that gets into the incentive. Like, what's the incentive? It could be to do good, but it also could be like it's monetary value. That's a really awful scam because all it takes is a nanosecond, right? That's a lot of these frauds, is to hit you at a point where you're not going through a decision tree here. You're not going through, okay, here's a problem in my analysis. What are my alternatives? It's in the moment. It's sort of where you are emotionally in space. Things could go, why can't things go my way for this time? Or what do we call the sitcom again?
Why not Josh for a change?
Why not Josh for... So that thought is coming through your head. Well, I like the...
Why not Josh for a change?
Why not Josh? Why not Josh for a change? I see it. I see you. I don't know if it's an odd couple or it's a family. And you're like, you have this look. Why not Josh for a change? It's almost question mark.
Yeah, it could be Josh as a young man growing up, Malcolm in the Middle type show.
Right. I'm gonna get an actor for this in my head that would work.
Freddie Moon is coming back, by the way. I think they're rebooting.
They are rebooting Malcolm in the Middle. We talked about Scrubs the last show. They're rebooting everything. So why don't we come up with an original show like yours? Why not Josh for a change?
Why not Josh for a change?
Josh Gad.
That would be a dream if he would.
Yeah. We turned this again into a pitch show for a TV series. I think we advocated for Golden Girls come back, or Murder, She Wrote with Dame Judi Dench.
Dame Judi, she'd kill it.
I know why I say she would. Well, that's a really interesting... So you looked at it, you thought something is getting me a little scared about picking up this ring. Did you say anything to this person?
I think I just was like, not mine, thank you, something like that.
Okay.
And now that I think about it...
In French or in English?
Oh, maybe I had my French game on. No merci.
No merci. Oh, very nice.
Now that I think about it, I wonder if what the threat was when they confronted the person who picked it up was for them to call the police. And I bet someone would be like, here now, I'll just give you €200 or what, $200. And that would be, they make it the victim's idea to pay them rather than getting involved in like some police, ruining their day with a police thing.
And you didn't see it. You didn't see how this played out.
I didn't see exactly how it played out, but I wonder if that was, you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't want the police involved, but they're betting that you don't want them involved either.
Well, like if we think about this personal story, like small as it seems, but it's connected to bigger cases that we've done, right? If we think about Philip Reel, and a lot of the times it's like whether you trust the situation and where your mind is, right? If you trust genuinely that this ring is really nobody's, then it's a question of what's your incentive. Is it to like do good or is it to profit off this ring? But a lot of it is where your mind space is, and it's the vulnerabilities to that. And that's why it's important to talk about it, because generally you just need a pause, right? A pause to ask some basic questions. But sometimes it doesn't happen. So I'll share mine with you, Josh, since we got the golden ring. We'll call that the golden ring, and Adam can, put this into vignettes. The golden ring, episode 1 of this podcast. So mine was recently. Do you know what a jelly cat is?
Oh, what cat?
A jelly cat. A jelly cat.
Jelly cat, no.
No, so a jelly cat is a very, very expensive stuffed animal. We can have an image on this for Spotify. It's very expensive. They're like tiny little jelly cat. I think they came out of London. I really don't know the history. You're going to look it up. You can look it up. I haven't. I just know they're expensive. My daughter wants jelly cats. Okay. When my brother comes from Boston to Toronto, he will bring a jelly cat, and they are not cheap. And
it's like a high quality stuffed animal.
Sure, high quality. I can't tell what a high quality stuffed animal is from a low quality stuffed animal.
An expensive
but I guess
stuffed animal.
It is expensive, high end. So here we have, this happened to me recently. So Black Friday, I'm busy. It's work for me, and my mind's all over the place. And my daughter comes up to me and says, I saw this on TikTok, jelly cats for $5.
Oh,
$5, and I'm like, $5, and I knew jelly cats were expensive because I had bought a jelly cat for her, and I said $5. So this is the point where what happened? I'm a CPA. I am a CFE. I should have said to myself, $5 when the normal price for these things are like $100, $50 for the smallest jelly cat. I should have said this can't be true, but this is the same as the golden ring. It's the moment in time. I was busy. She brought this to my attention. I was going to get her something, and I just said, fine, where's the website? And I have the website. It was like jellycatdeals.com. So I went there, and I didn't scrutinize. And it's a fully functional website. It has an inventory. It has all the pictures of the jelly cats. And there it was, $5. So it wasn't that much we spent. I bought 3 of these things. It ended up being like $25.
Oh.
Okay, so my credit card is of course on the dark web now, but so
yeah.
So I ship it to my brother in the US because I think this is a US jelly cat store. And they come over for Christmas, and my daughter's like, where's the jelly cat? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, my brother has given the jelly cat to his daughter, and he's gonna have to answer for this because that was my daughter's. But the jelly cat never showed up. He's like, I didn't get a jelly cat or jelly cats or jelly, whatever the plural of it is. So I went to the tracking number.
Yeah.
And I got a site does not exist.
You got a big middle finger.
Big.
Official tracking number.
Yeah.
F you.
With a little caption. Aren't you a host of the Fraud Complex? I thought that was mean.
We thought better of you. Garth.
We got you. You are now on the wall of shame being a host of a Fraud Complex.
Not only did they get your $15, they got your credit card number. And I would suspect that is the real goal behind these. Would you say that's likely?
Well, they also got
what did you do from there? Did you, yeah.
Good question, Josh. This is a very educational episode. I called Bank of America and I let them know, try to block the payment. They told me, though, to keep the credit card, which was interesting. Really? He said, this type of situation is more likely to be about the dollars. Because if you can imagine, Black Friday, this is all AI and cheap setup now. You can create a website that replicates a commercial online website with all of the inventory, even a payment system that takes a credit card, a legit payment system, cheaply, maybe like $100 or less with an X amount of hours. You blast this across the world.
Yeah.
I spent $30, one person, someone who should have known better. How many people got this? If you just do a multiplier, this is probably more about the money than it is about the credit card, because they probably made quite a bit of money. People just like not wanting to pay $100 for a stuffed animal and saying, well, here's a deal. It's Black Friday, $5, or didn't know this was a high quality stuffed animal. So I think it was purely for volume.
Wow. And my other question, did you have to buy the real version to make up, for the expectation that had been created? What was the fallout? There's personal fallout in addition to financial fallout.
The Jellycat situation. Yeah, I had to buy a real Jellycat. Somehow I had to pay for a real, which really does cost like $100. And the company might have got both, right? They got a volume of sales and they got credit card information they can sell too. So they probably got both. So good on you.
And the real Jellycat company benefited from the scam indirectly, because probably a bunch of people were like, okay, and I guess got to buy the real Jellycat. And they're like, we got this unexpected spike in our, even though it was Black Friday, we got way more than we expected.
I never thought about that.
How many days after Black Friday did you realize it wasn't coming?
Well, now you're just putting salt in the wounds. I just figured this out a week ago, Josh. So not to date the podcast.
We got a January spike.
Several weeks passed before I'm like, where? Because it wasn't me. It was my daughter's like, where are the Jellycats? I'm like, they're on their way. I didn't check the tracking number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they get a good run before I alerted anybody of any wrongdoing. So
don't feel bad. I fell for the same very similar thing. And I just had forgotten about it because it was just a blip. It was my son wanted some jeans, like Jinko's jeans. And he's always finding these websites, that are like no one's ever heard of. But that's the beauty. Like, he's a fashion forward kid. Like, you have to find something not everybody knows about, but it's cool. And his friend had found this jean, and it was like a limited, it was like a time pressure. There was like a limited supply. He sent the link to my son, and my son sent it to me, and I bought him the jeans. A few days later, he was like, when are the jeans going to get here? And I didn't even get a confirmation of the order.
And got a confirmation.
Like, oh no, these are not real jeans. And I actually canceled the credit card and went through all that. Took a couple hours in the morning. But yeah, it's easy. I'm relatively gullible, I suppose, but at the same time, I'm thinking of, I'm not like, this was like a one-off sort of thing. It was just like, I was busy. I was just like, you want the jeans? Fine. Let's just.
Did you have to buy the real jeans?
I don't think so, because they didn't really exist somewhere else.
Oh.
So they were
like
just
the whole thing was just.
The whole thing was just made up. I don't know.
Oh, I see. These sort of artisanal jeans that were just made to get you, Josh. I think it was just dedicated to get you. You're the only one that was defrauded by this. This was. Why not Josh for a change?
But, you know what it was? It was worse, though, because there was no payment. The payment didn't go through on the credit card either.
So they just got the credit card information.
They just got the credit card information.
Oh, I see. This is a question, too, is how much anger do you... Because we're both adults, I think. So I had to ask myself this question. How much blame do I put on my daughter for bringing this to my attention when I was very busy and putting me under Jellycat pressure And, rationally, again, as a host of this podcast, it should be my professional ability to sniff this out. I'll be honest with you on this podcast. It's honesty for the new year. I did blame her a little bit. I'm like, where did you get TikTok? Jelly cats are $100. How could a jelly cat be? I went on forever.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was probably not the best response.
No, but
As a
it's a
parent?
learning opportunity, like,
That's
because
what I said.
these websites are proliferating like crazy, and it's better to learn from it now because there's going to be like, if we both got scammed last year, there's going to be 10 other potential scams this year. It's just getting easier, like you said.
Luckily, we're going to Blackpink, and people know who Blackpink is. I only got the tickets for like $10, so that was like that one. At least she gave me a legitimate site because they're generally a couple thousand. So I'm sure that one's at. No, I'm just joking. So now because of that jelly,
So you
because of
got
that
me.
jelly cat-
I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm a prime.
No, that's what I'm
Prime to be
saying.
scammed.
Because of the Jellycat scam, because it's tickets, right? It's like my daughter could say, "Oh, look, I found a ticket for this band that's coming to Toronto for like $100." Even if it was $200, I might pay for it. Oh, is it Dream Academy? What's it called? Dream Academy. Cat's Eye. You've never heard of Cat's Eye, have you?
No.
Cat's Eye is a band that was formed in a reality show by Dream Academy. I watched a couple of the episodes on Netflix. It's pretty good. I recommend it.
Yeah.
But they came to Toronto, and I was like, okay, well, I'll get tickets for Cat's Eye. And I went to Ticketmaster, all sold out. I went to StubHub. It was $1,500 minimum for one ticket. I'm glad the Jellycat got me on $30 because if my daughter presented me with Cat's Eye for $500 a ticket, I'd be like, well, that's better than $1,500, but it'd be from like Ticketmastered.com or something, whatever it would be.
Right.
Phishing
Right.
site.
It's like Ticketmaster, but with a semicolon instead of the I.
Oh man, it's just and this is going to just happen more and more. I mean, part of this is a public service. It's going to happen more and more because not only like so some of this is like AI. Like so you did a sort of a bricks and mortar scam, right? With
Yeah.
physical scam with people, and then on the online world, the ability to set up things so quickly and rapidly with AI, websites, payment portals, and just like pop up and then close down. It's just going to be insane. So it's going to be tough. And think about that. I always think, like, what could we have done differently? It's tough. I mean, part of this is where you are at when a situation comes to you and you don't take the next step to think about it. Like, when I think about the Jellycat, I go, why would I have thought? I knew the price of Jellycat. It's just because I was busy and this seemed really easy to do.
Yeah. You're just making a problem go away. The problem is, the
Daughter.
kid wants something, my son wanted something, and I just was like, that's a problem. And how do I make that problem disappear? $15? That's a great, it's gone. Yeah.
It's gone. $15 gone.
Yeah.
So this is good because, I mean, in some ways it ties back to these broader stories that we've done, right? It's just, that's why rationalization is so interesting. You could break it down. Rationalization can be, you can connect to it. Say, well, I need to do this because this will make my daughter happy or my son happy, and it's easy. This door is open and there's a bunch of cash in there, and nobody needs the cash. I'm just I'm going to the next step, but the brain is where the brain is. Do you have another one to share, Josh? Was it those big ones?
Yeah. So this one is an elder scam, and it's is a friend of my wife's who. Her grandmother, this was in 2015, received a call and said, your daughter is in jail in Canada, and we need you to wire us $9,000 bail money. It seems on the surface like, who would fall for that, right? But they actually said something about like her tomatoes in the garden. And she said, your daughter said something about like the tomatoes in the garden. And so, this is legit. This is coming from her. She knows about your tomatoes. They're in season this year. So we can't put her on the phone for you because she's in jail, but you need to send this money to get her out of jail. And what happened they think, they don't really know, was someone had access to the grandmother's email and had gone through and found details, personal
Right.
details. So this was a little bit more involved. It wasn't just like following a script, like they've done some research. They'd found a level of detail about her garden that made her think they do have my granddaughter. And so she went to the bank and she wired
Wow.
$9,000.
Oh, wow.
And then she got home. They called again and they said, "Where's the money?" And she said, "Well, I wired it." "Well, didn't go through. Look, your daughter's not going to get out of jail. We need you to go back and rewire that money." So
Right.
she went back a second time and tried to rewire the money. But this is where there's some guardrails in place. The bank teller wouldn't let her do it because he said, or the teller said that seems fishy. I think this is a scam. Call everybody, call the parents, call the daughter. Wouldn't let her send, but they did let her send the first wire transfer. So she was out for like $9,000.
So
And
yeah,
they were
so they
just
they
fishing
they
for
said
more.
the fishing for they said, oh, you didn't, the first one didn't go through to get the second one. It's hard after, because in elder care scams, they feel so bad about it, right? It's like they feel like
Yeah.
once the scam and fraud is exposed, it's the older person. Not only are they out of money, but they feel like they're responsible, and it's just such a devious, despicable thing to do.
Yeah, it's not this impersonal sending it out to the world, casting a wide net. And this is like, oh, here's somebody we've identified. We went through, took the time, took, a good amount of time to kind of organize this, find the information. Just so disheartening. And I'm just afraid for, especially senior citizens going forward, because like there's an AI version of this that is going to be doing it
Oh.
on scale, and it's brutal.
It is really brutal. So I went to the American Certified Fraud Examiners Conference in Toronto a few months ago, and this was a topic of conversation. Because part of this now is that with voice AI and video AI, if you're like, for example, you and I, because of the podcast, our voices are out there and they can be replicated, and our videos are out there. And so, yeah, I know. So you don't necessarily need to fish through the emails to get a backstory. You can have a voice synthesizer that sounds like you and will sound like you over the phone saying,
Yeah.
"We need this money." And one of the takeaways from that is to have a code word with your
Yes.
elderly parent or whoever is in your family circle that could be vulnerable to this. Have some, like, you have to say, "Tell me the code word that we agreed upon so that I know it's you or I know it's them." And that was, I think, was really important, because the reality is you can't expect someone of a certain age to be able to identify this. The AI is going to be so sophisticated.
Yeah.
And it's even going to affect us, right? It's like in a bad moment, it could, but definitely for those that are in a different demographic, you can't put it on their shoulders. You just can't. It's just too hard. The sophistication, as you pointed out, is just going to get higher and higher, where it's going to be impossible for them to really understand what's happening other than their son or daughter or granddaughter or whatever it is in jeopardy and they need to send money. So you have to have controls in place with the relatives.
Yeah, and I think there's also potential for technical solutions where your phone should have some ability, if you're being targeted with AI, you should also have AI defenses where your phone should be able to tell you, "Hey, this sounds like a scam." And I think there's some of those, protections are coming or already in place, because it's just too easy. Like,
They talk about this, right? So AI, to stop AI, like, so but there's always a chess match between the AI scammer and those that are using AI to stop something like that from happening. And the challenge is there's always going to be a little gap between those. Like, so at some point, the AI solutions, the ability to understand that this is an AI call, to alert the elderly person, that will eventually be compromised by the fraudster, and then their solution will be put in place. So it's always just back and forth, but there's a gap. There's always going to be a little gap where there could be no firewall or control. And so there needs to be something. The teller did a great job, right? The teller is important. Those that wire money. But generally, I think the sentiment is it's hard to necessarily rely on the controls of other AI solutions. You hope that they will be there, but you really need the family to talk about this. And And also do their best to understand how susceptible a particular elderly person is. Are they living by themselves? How much do they know about the family? And then the code words, I think, is the simplest one.
Yeah, I think that most people have either themselves been targeted or know somebody who's been targeted or fallen victim to some fraud on some small scale. And it's just like, you get busy or you're given something and not given time to think about it and you make a call. And it's, particularly if you're in certain demographics, it's a lot easier.
The elder care is absolutely a super big, scary thing. And the fact that you had a personal story, I worry about my parents, and we have a code word with them, but that's a difficult one. And it's challenging because I've seen documentaries where, because these are call centers, right? They're based in different places in the world, and those individuals in these call centers, they don't really bear the personal harm that they're inflicting because the way they are desensitized and decentralized. Because if you knew you were doing this to somebody else, most human beings would feel pretty bad about themselves, knowing that they're... And there's a couple narratives that can happen, but a lot of the times the reason this occurs, where you just think there's a loss of humanity here, is because these centers are decentralized to the point where really they don't exactly know who they're scamming, what they're scamming. They just know that they're involved in this sort of pipeline. And so it creates distance from knowing that someone on the other end is getting hurt, which allows there to be more of these centers around the world. Because, again, I think most people, if they knew that someone on the other side could lose their life savings, there's so many tragic stories with elder care in terms of the repercussions, most people would want to touch this. But if you don't really have a connection to the victim, it's a different story.
Yeah. No, and I think also, people are themselves in these call centers on, in a position where they don't have a lot of options for, making money or they're, I think it's sometimes forced to, in the same way that people are trafficked, people are put in positions to, propagate these scams. And somebody's benefiting, but they're not the ones who are having to make the calls. And then there's going to be the AI version of this that is, you don't even have to hire somebody, just
right. Then you don't even have
an AI agent will be doing it very effectively.
Yeah. Oh boy, this got dark.
Yeah.
This got dark. Elder care is a particular element. Yeah. Well, it's good to bring up. I think we've had some. This is good because this is actually very educational. It's still true crime because we're talking about true crime here. The golden ring about all of us being vulnerable in the right time, but I think the takeaway there is if you're scared of things, maybe you'll be less likely to pick up the ring.
Yes, but use your fear wisely.
Use your fear. Wasn't that in Star Wars? Was it use your fear? Or was it the opposite?
Yeah. Allow your fear to control you.
That's Yoda's famous line. I remember. Yeah, that's right.
Control you. Your fear will help. No.
Well, that's amazing. That was a great Yoda voice.
I'm gonna really work on it.
No, I don't think you need to. I thought you nailed it. And this elder care code words, I think that's a big one, but also the AI. I'll have one last one to bring up, Josh. This will be, I forgot about this one, Josh. So we're going to do a callback, Josh, a callback. Remember, I forget what we called the episode now. It was a cheating scandal with the CPAs cheating on an ethics compliance test inside the Netherlands. What did we call that episode? Windmills. I think the one with the windmills. Listen to it. Because one of the stories that I shared was that I was in an accounting class in high school with an individual who wasn't the brightest person, where we had an opportunity, maybe, we had to think about whether it was cheating or not. So this individual, his dad, I forgot about this, and it's all over Google. I forgot about this. I cannot. So my parents got scammed by $5,000 by that guy's father. I forgot about this, and I can say his name because it's on sec.gov, Morning Journal, $17 million. I don't know if I should say his name. It's public. Because I haven't talked to Alan in so long. He's the high school friend, Alan McNaughton.
Yeah.
Oh, but Alan, I think Alan's okay. If this podcast goes viral,
But
I'll
it was
call
Alan's
it.
dad.
So if you look up Gary McNaughton, you'll see SEC, I think FBI, and you put Gary McNaughton fraud. This was really interesting. I didn't know about this until my parents called me so angrily one day. I haven't thought about this in so long. They called me and go, "You remember your friend's dad, Alan McNaughton?" I go, "Yeah, Alan? Yeah, how's he doing?" And he went to cheerleading school, by the way, in Virginia, I believe. I think
Okay.
Alan was yeah. Yeah. I'll put the SEC bulletin in the chat as well if you can get it. Let me know. And they called me and they
Yeah.
said he's been arrested. It's all over the news. He has ultimately been running a Ponzi scheme. And they didn't say Ponzi scheme because they didn't know. But here's what it says. In the criminal case, this is from the SEC, filed in the Northern District of Ohio, the indictment charged that McNaughton raised at least $17 million from approximately 200 investors, the one of which is my parents, for $5,000, through the sale of unregistered securities in the form of notes under the name of Haven Equity Company. I knew that company because that's the one that Alan's dad worked for. The indictment further charged that McNaughton fraudulently guaranteed an annual return of 10 to 35%. So I remember when Alan's dad came to our house. And he said, this is like, I was in this accounting class at the time, but I just remember he came to the house. I didn't think much of it. I had a crush on his, so Alan had two sisters a year younger. They're twins. I had a crush on them. The McNaughton family, I played prominently in my high school life, but I didn't think much of this conversation. And according to the indictment, McNaughton also told investors he would send their money to a trader and friend in Ontario, Canada, and would use this trading strategy to generate the guaranteed returns. However, rather than investing the funds, McNaughton used investor funds to, among other things, pay purported interest and principal to existing investors and his pet personal expenses. That is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a Ponzi scheme. And I don't know. This SEC statement's March 21st, 2007. And yeah, he's Canadian, ordered to pay $2.8 million. Do you see I don't know if you can look it up, Gary L. McNaughton.
No, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to give you another fraud about a home renovation, which I didn't fall to, but I forgot about this one.
No, I keep thinking of other frauds in my family, and like as we talk about it, more and more keep popping up. We'll have to do a follow, a part two.
We'll do a part two because I think part of this podcast is we have fun with the cases, right? But it's also the challenge of fraud detection and prevention, even for those that talk about it, is, this is very similar to, not very similar, but some similarity to Philip Reel in the sense that it wasn't a affinity to a religious community like the Amish. This was because of Alan.
It's affinity, your friend,
that's right.
Community, yeah.
Community. And Gary, they had a pretty lavish lifestyle. I think they had a ski chalet. I never went there because I couldn't ski. And he seemed like, I remember meeting him. And he was a nice guy and didn't exactly understand how he was doing so well and had a son like Alan, but it was...
Did you say you and Alan were trying to scam on the accounting class too? That
was Alan. Yeah, Alan and I, we didn't scam the accounting class, but that was the cheating one where he was the guy who got up early to hand in the exam.
He was the guy who cheated on the exam.
Yeah, with me.
So there was something where, did he know his dad?
No, Alan is a very simple man. He's a very guy.
Okay.
No, I hope he doesn't hear this. He's a very, he wouldn't, it wouldn't occur to him to do anything. Yeah. I don't think he knew about this at all.
The gene is strong. The gene.
No, I don't know. No. I think the gene might have ended with Alan for various reasons, though. I don't know if it was for. I believe Alan was on the ESPN cheerleading competition.
Well, that's badass. I like that.
That is. I'm telling you, I didn't know that until I forget why we connected. I don't know if this is. I have to unpack some memories here.
It sounds like he turned his life around. He went down some fishy paths, but he found cheering in his life.
I don't think Alan turned anything around. I think Alan found out about this later on, and then probably continued.
He cheated on his test. That's all I mean. And
I think he cheated on his test because I cheated on the test too.
You cheated on the test too. Okay.
Remember, we got the exam from the last year.
Right.
We got the exam from last year, and we didn't really cheat.
Okay, it's not really cheating.
At the time, you didn't think it was cheating. Alan's not involved in this. See, he did tell me his dad was involved in trading shares and could potentially help my parents, and I said, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And then but then this was years of guilt from I'm Sri Lankan parents, right? Immigrant parents, and if you involve South Asian parents or Southeast Asian parents in a Ponzi scheme, your life is never the same, because it doesn't matter if this podcast beats Joe Rogan's podcast. I can never live this down.
They'll remember.
It doesn't matter.
Yes,
unless I get on The View. If I get on The View,
remember, Garth,
and I talk to my mom directly through Joy Behar, I might be able to recover, but otherwise it's not going to happen.
You won the Nobel Peace Prize, but remember that $5,000. We can't get that money back.
Yeah, the Nobel Peace Prize, sure, but remember the 5,000.
That
Brought that
5,000
man into our house. Never got the 5,000 back.
Yeah, I could have used that 5,000.
My parents' return on investment calculations, that 5,000 would be worth $10 million today.
Yeah,
so he really ultimately cost
compounding
us
interest, Garth. You look into it. It's
yeah. And so, what did you go to school? What did you go to school for? My parents. I don't even bring this up, so they're not going to listen to this podcast, because I think it's past. Some time has passed that they haven't thought about this. If this comes to their attention and the memories are re-triggered, they will still, like, it's amazing how these parents can just relive it like they just found out about it.
Yeah.
What? Around the 5,000. Like, there's usually time in these stories, because, like, we're telling these stories with a little bit of levity and some educational quality, but my parents would, like, remember this and go, oh, that $5,000. $5,000. You brought that man into the house with that Alan. We never liked that Alan. Brought him in. He said this, and you were in an accounting class. I think you were off doing something, probably chasing girls or something, when we were sitting with this man in the sofa. He's lying to us. Your dad, write to check. I told him, do we know this man? Because my mom's going to, take the martyr here. And writes the check. And as soon as he wrote the check, I didn't feel good about it. I knew it. And then 10 years later, on City TV, I see a McNaughton. And I go, is that the same McNaughton?
Did they get any of that $5,000 back?
No.
No.
They didn't. That's also a sore point. Thanks. That's also a sore point. So that was like, these affinity schemes are really pretty powerful, right? I mean, we talked about Philip Reel, but this is a friend of a friend. This is a friend, actually a close friend, and his father. I mean, it does lend itself to a really cool story. I wonder if I should invest, because there's a lot of information about this. He has more Google hits than I do from this. That's pretty. Like, look, he's all over the Augusta Chronicle, the Morning Call, Investment Executive, CPC News, SEC Gov. That's pretty good. I mean, his SEO is pretty good if you want to be associated with fraud.
Wow. Well, yeah, these scams, they leave trails, right? Like we're still talking about it, and 5,000 isn't, it's not. It's not a life savings, but it's enough that it still causes. Yeah, it still causes damage and emotional damage.
It was a lot, and I think we make fun of it, but what it also does, it does create like blame and like who did this, who brought this. So there's always this after effect of fraud that is probably not as damaging as the financial repercussions, but pretty damaging. So I wonder if I can get Alan to be on the show.
We would happily talk to Alan. We want to hear all about his.
Oh my gosh!
I want to hear his side of the story on this test, and then I want to hear about his journey.
Should I reach out to Alan? Gosh,
I don't think he's going to want to talk about this, but
I've done a few polling questions on Spotify, and we've had no responses to any of them. But I wonder if I put a polling question, would you like for us to reach out to Alan McNaughton? I don't even know where he is. He might be the head cheerleading coach of one of the top, in the ACC or something like that. But we'll reach out to him and say, hey, we want to talk to you about an accounting exam that you remember and your father.
Yeah,
your
$5,000 went toward his tuition. And so at the very least, you're owed a thank you.
That is an interesting way to get him on the podcast. That would be like, listen, if you have any level of success, $5,000 of it came from me. I think you owe the Fraud Complex an appearance.
With that, we want to wrap up this episode. And we thank you for listening. And thanks, as always, to our show editor, Adam Galloway. Remember to subscribe and leave us a comment about whether Alan should be on the podcast or about a fraud case you'd like us to discuss. Also, you can email us at fraudcomplexpodcast@gmail.com with your fraud cases on your mind. Thanks, Garth.
Alan called me. Thanks, Josh.